So I do have to say, it is really, really comforting to hear your accent because I spent 3 months in London a few months ago, and now I'm just being reminded of my time there and how amazing it was. And I haven't heard a British accent in a really long time, so it's just
Really?
totally
Okay.
bringing me back. But it is just a lovely city. I was also there during Christmas time too. So
That's an amazing time to be there.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful, because the architecture just lends itself to like that kind of fairy tale feeling. And
Oh, absolutely.
if
Yeah.
the weather's good at the same time, if it's like cold but frosty, beautiful.
Oh yeah, and they deck out Hyde Park, and there's Christmas
Yeah.
markets everywhere, and they have like the lights over the streets. Oh, it's just
Did you go
beautiful.
to Winter Wonderland?
I did.
It's like my favorite fun fair in the world. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, it was amazing. Yeah. I wish I could go back there this wintertime. Maybe I'll get around to it. But anyways, though, I wanted to ask you, so I know you grew up there. What was your experience growing up there? And what area of London did you grow up in?
So I grew up in the very north of London. So like the final town before it turns into another county, which is, it's not really sort of suburban. It's inner city. It's a small town in North London. It's kind of urban and, not a lot goes on there.
Okay. Interesting.
Being real, it doesn't,
Uh-huh.
And so I actually, from a very young age, I really liked going into the center of town, the bits that you described, because it was more vibrant. It's more my energy. So even like my first jobs when I was like a teenager I would get on the train and go into town. I worked in Hamleys, the toy store.
Oh, no way.
And I worked in Harrods, the big department store, as a magician.
You were a magician in Harrods?
That was one of my first jobs. I was a magician in the toy store and in Harrods.
Oh my gosh. Wait, how was that?
It was great funny. It's actually funny because I went back to London just a couple of weeks ago and I went into the toy store and there is still someone doing my job.
No way.
In exactly the same way that we did it with the same tricks. And we had a chat about it and I was like, dude, I watched his whole performance and then I spoke to him about it and I was like, dude, I did this 25 years ago,
No way.
And he's talking about the thing and he mentioned somebody's like, oh, and Bruce. And I was like, Bruce is still here? Wow. Because Bruce was my supervisor back then.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you were able to go up to this guy and be like, hey, I know all the tricks.
I was sitting there watching it knowing exactly what he's going to do next. Yeah.
Oh my
gosh. In fact, I think some of the moves I probably was responsible for like engineering at the time.
That is awesome. Oh my gosh. I did not know you had a background in magic at all. So that's really
I'm not like a magician. I did a few tricks,
There you go. Yeah. I love that though. What age were you doing that at? Were
16.
you in school? Oh, okay.
Yeah, 16 or 17.
Okay, cool. So you went to high school in London and then...
Yeah, so in England, you go to school, like what we call secondary school, which is your high school.
Mm-hmm.
But we can finish at 16. You're allowed to leave school at 16. And then if you want to go to university, you have to do 2 more years, either at school or at a college, which we call college is this thing in between school and university.
Okay.
So I did school, left at 16, went to college. I actually did 3 years at college because I'd spent 1 year not doing something I didn't want to do anymore.
What were you doing?
So I did a vocational course in graphic design.
Oh.
Because at the time, I was already acting. I was already a professional actor at that point. Like I'd done a couple of jobs. So I knew that I could be paid for this, even though it's from where I'm from, my town is like, it's not a viable option or wasn't back then. Really, like I didn't know any other actors. I didn't know people. I knew actors that did it, for fun, but not as a career. And then I started to do shows in my local area. And a few of those people were kind of doing it as a career, maybe, some West End shows and stuff. And then I got an agent and did my first few jobs. And I was like, oh, okay, you can get paid for this. This is great. But at the same time, it wasn't consistent or anything. It was like still a bit of a shot in the dark. So I decided I really liked graphic design. So I decided I wanted to be a graphic designer because I liked it. I was artistic, but at the same time, I figured it would be something that I could do in between acting. So from the start, I was like, I need to make money at the same time as pursuing this acting thing. And what would I be able to do that would be kind of transportable? Because at that point, I also started to like travel and the idea of travel. Mm-hmm. And so it's very important to me to be able to be sort of location independent. And I thought, well, something like graphic design is something I can do wherever, as long as I got my computer. And back then, sorry, I'm aging myself, but like fine line pens and like instruments.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't all computer based then. A lot of it was actual physical artistic work. But I was like, this is something I could do anywhere for anyone. I could do it freelance. I could do it for myself. I could set up my own design agency, all these things. So that was what I was going to pursue. But after a year of doing that full time at college, it just wasn't, I just thought, actually, I'm putting all my eggs in this basket.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to a different college to do 3 subjects, so broader, which was media, geography, and English, I think it was.
Okay.
Which then qualified me to go into a university to do an acting program.
Okay.
Whereas if I did graphic design, I probably wouldn't have been able to do an acting program at university.
Right.
So I went to University of London, but then I spent about 3.5 weeks on the acting program at university, and I went to my course tutor and I'm like, I can't do this. I want to change to film. And they said, well, sorry, the film course is full. So I said, look, here's a choice. You put me in the film course or I leave the university.
Oh.
That's my choice because I cannot stay in this acting class.
Why did you not like the acting class?
Because, and we can get onto this, and I know we're in a educational establishment right now. I'm not anti-education and I'm not pro it either. I'm pro-education. I'm just not pro-establishment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have made films as a director and producer now. And I tell you where I learned to make a film is making a film. I did not learn to make a film on a 3-year film degree. And at the same time, I was doing the acting course. I was already working pretty professionally. Not like, I wasn't doing loads, but I was working enough that I'd done some jobs for the BBC. I've been on a lot of sets, small parts here and there. And I just realized that this university course for acting was not like the real world. It wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then my course it was a very academic university, which meant you needed to get good grades to get in, but not necessarily good grades in acting. And actually, you needed no experience in acting to get in the acting class. For me, I'd done amateur shows since I was 11. I spent my weekends in acting class. I spent my Thursdays and Tuesday nights in acting class. And then I was now working in it. And then I met people that were like, oh, yeah, our parents told us to come to university and we thought this would be fun to mess around for 3 years. And I'm like, this is my career, dude. I want to do this professionally. And so I just didn't like that environment. And so really the course started at the very start of acting. And I was doing stuff I've been used to doing. And I was just getting bored.
Mm-hmm.
And I spoke to my course tutor and I said, I'm feeling like, not that I'm beyond it, but I've done all this stuff. I feel like we're starting at the start and this is university. And they were like, well, this is just the beginning. It's to get everyone on the same page and whatever. And it'll be different in term 2. And I'm like, I'm not going to survive till term 2 though. I'm getting bored already and frustrated. And so I said, I need to change to film and media. Otherwise I need to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And so they reluctantly put me in the film class.
Oh my God, that's so funny though.
I negotiate my way in, like by actually. So this is an important lesson that I've had in my life though. Is people have always told me this, or I've read it in books or mentors or whatever. Like not even personal mentors, but people I see as mentors. Is the power of no, right? When you can genuinely say, oh, you can apply this to dating, you can apply this to jobs, everything. When you can genuinely say no, you're in such a powerful position when you don't need something. And these guys were telling me, no, you can't change that. So I said, fine, I'll walk away from the university and then you lose a student.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean it. I absolutely meant it. It's like, it's this or I'm gone. Because I wasn't worried at that point. So having that in my power that I really was going to walk away, I wasn't bluffing. So it worked out,
Mm-hmm. I think that's great though, honestly. Did you end up liking the film program better or probably not?
I mean,
here's another question.
Listen, I love my university. It was beautiful. I love my university. The campus was like Harry Potter. I mean, it literally was. It was gorgeous. It was out, even though it's University of London, it was out in Surrey. Gorgeous campus, beautiful buildings. I had a good time at university, but one of the reasons I picked that was it's very close, its proximity to central London where I needed to be for auditions. And at the time I was also a nightclub promoter and that was how I was making my money.
You were a nightclub promoter?
Yeah, and that was fun. So, I'd be hanging, on a Thursday night, I'd be hanging at my student union drinking $1 beers. And on Friday night, I'd be partying with top celebrities in nightclubs getting my drinks for free, meeting A-list stars.
It's funny that you say that. When I was in London, a few of my friends did that too, to bring in some money on the end and then also have fun. So
I mean,
not a bad
let me
gig.
tell you, it doesn't bring in much money.
That is valid.
Unless you're the person in charge.
hmm
But it was a lot of fun, and I have a lot of great memories from it. And, meant we could hang out with our friends. And
What was the craziest thing that happened while you were doing promoting? Maybe not craziest, but just one of the most memorable.
okay.
Things.
So memorable is good. So basically, we were promoting these nightclubs, me and a couple of friends. They're like the celebrity nightclubs. And I use that in inverted commas because any of those places that are members only, I don't mean like a place like Soho House that actually is a membership, but the kind of nightclubs that have a guest list and you can't get in and all that stuff, right? The truth is, you just need to know who to ask to get in, right? They need you in there. That's the fact, right? But they need to show, so they get the high-end guests, the celebrities in. They need to show that not anyone can get in.
Right.
So it's optics. So if I was to hand you a business card down the street, you could come in. And actually, we did that. We went out on the street scouting people who are looking for a night out. Like, oh, look, come to this nightclub, So we had a celebrity clientele because me and my friends were both in the acting business. So, even though we weren't at that level, we knew some people that were, and they knew some people that were. But as with anything, these places want you to be consistent. So we'd throw a party at, we'd do the Thursday night at this new hot club. It was amazing. And then the next week, we'd throw another event there, same night. And it was even better because people saw the pictures from the last one. Everyone was like, and there was no social media. So people would actually call each other and say, hey, you got to come to the club this week. This is great. The social media has actually ruined it a little bit because when there was a hot place back then, it was a hot place and you had to know about it and you felt privileged to know about it. Now everyone's at your hot club wanting to be somewhere else because they're looking at Instagram. There was no social media. People came and they enjoyed it for what it was. They weren't worried about what else was going on. So then the next Thursday was amazing. By the third Thursday, it kind of slowed down a bit. By the week before, everyone's bored of that place and there's a new hot place.
That makes sense.
But we'd agreed to 12 weeks with this. So we had to promote it for 12 weeks. So by week 5, we were sitting there with our bottle of wine, just like this, me and my 2 friends going, is anyone going to come? We're going to and by week, I think 5 or 6, we said we should change our company slogan to, we guarantee to empty your club. Because we felt like we were so bad at this.
Oh my gosh.
And it was a night where it was empty. And I mean empty. There was me, my friends, the 2 girls that worked for us. We can have fun, but we're not making any money. There's no one coming. We're like feeling like a failure. And a big radio DJ at the time, TV host and radio DJ, suddenly walked in with his brand new wife, who was a pop star and actress at the time. And there was a big, not a controversial marriage, but she's a lot younger than him and she's a pop star and he's a DJ and whatever, right? So they just got married in like the Maldives or something, and they flew home, and our club was the club they decided to come in and toast their new wedding.
Oh, no way.
So they were at the table next to us. There was no one else in the club, and we made more money that night than we made any other
Oh
night.
my God.
Because their bill was great.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that was a memorable night for not for the right reasons. Yeah.
Okay, that's funny though. Oh my gosh. Well, I love that you had a hand in doing that too. I think that's so funny and cool too. Because, I, again, had my own friends that did that and they've all had great times and great memories doing it too.
Well, no, of course, then the next week, the club was busy again because we put out, hey, Chris and Billy came after their wedding last week. You gotta come down. It was amazing. No, it was the 5 of us sat there.
But they will never know because they weren't there. Anyways, though, so obviously you did not spend all of your time in London. You're here now.
Yes.
When did you move to LA? And why did you move to LA?
I moved in 2006. And why I moved is, the truth is I was bored. I was bored of London. And I know that's tough for you to think of. But when you grow up somewhere and at the time I was 28 years old and I just felt like I knew what was around every corner. Nothing was exciting me anymore. And I had a pretty good life. I did. I was running a business. I still had a hand in the club stuff. I was doing my acting. I was getting jobs here and there. The acting was a little frustrating because I felt like I was pounding the pavement at the same level. I wasn't. And this is an interesting thing because as I study a lot of, personal development and psychology and things like that now. And one of the recurring themes I see in self-help books or when I listen to entrepreneurs talking is what makes us happy is not where we're at a level, it's the progression between the level, right?
Can you elaborate on that?
So like, let's say if you survey millionaires, right? People that have $1 million in net worth. And I just read this in a book by Stephen Bartlett, right? He said there was a study done that if you survey millionaires and say, how much money would you need to make you happy? They'd say like 2 to 3 times what they have, 2 to 3 million. If you ask people with $10 million, they say 20 to 30 million, right? But the people that consistently make the same are less, whether it's 100 grand or if it's 1 million or if it's 10 million, when it's consistent, their happiness dwindles. When they keep rising, when they keep progressing. And that's the same as whether it's an accolade, like if you win an Emmy, then you want an Oscar. And if you win an Oscar, then you want the EGOT, right? Mm. And so it's the progression between things. That's why relationships have these markers, because we progress, we date, we become exclusive, we get engaged, we get married, right? It's the progression that makes people happy. So I was feeling stagnant. It's not that nothing was happening, it just wasn't moving forward. And for me, London was not my pace. I do stuff like this. If I get an idea, I jump on it, I do it. I like to be around people who do stuff. And so I just needed a shake-up. And I would have moved anywhere. I just needed something different. I was like, I was not depressed, but I was getting there. Where I was I remember sitting in my car one time and just crying, and I don't know why I was crying. I was just sitting there frustrated. And it was really tough to know why I was frustrated. I couldn't put my finger on it. And my girlfriend at the time was like, what's wrong? And I was like, I don't know. I just don't know. And it was this thing inside of me. And then I went to a seminar in London, like an acting seminar thing. And it sounded kind of cheesy, to be honest. Like, casting director from LA comes to London to teach you the stuff, right? And me and 2 girlfriends went over there. They were both actors at my agency. And the woman who was in the seminar was a British casting director from England, but she worked at MGM in LA.
Oh, cool.
She's called Zora de Horta, now a good friend of mine. And her energy was just so different and so enthusiastic and positive, but not inauthentic. There was just something about the way she presented this. It was different from what I'd seen at university, from what I'd seen in my evening classes, in these seminars. She just had this passion for actors. And I'm used to in England, there's this hierarchy where, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. And everyone's trying to keep everyone down. And there's this hierarchy and there's this structure of what you should do and who you should speak to and how you should do things. And she just had this passion for actors. And when we did scenes with her feedback was really genuine and really exciting. And I got so much from this 1 hour thing. And we just felt energized. And then we came out and we went to like an old man's pub across the road. Like, you know what I mean? Like the dark, dingy pubs.
No, definitely.
There's one old guy in the corner with his pint like this. And it was raining outside really hard. And it's kind of a depressing scenario, right?
Yeah.
And me and my 2 friends sitting there being like, we just got energized so much. But then we're back to the reality of like, and these were working actors. Like these were people that we were working, right? We had agents, we had auditions, but it sucked. Like, we want. And at the time, I was in pre-planning for a big exhibition that I had the idea for, called the Showbiz Show. So we were going to make a huge exhibition about show business.
Oh, interesting.
And I was in the pre-planning stages, and I had like all my research done. And my friend was like, I want to go to America. How do you do that? How do we go and act in America? And I was like, look, I don't know if this works or not, but in my little scrapbook of research, I have this immigration attorney's number that I was going to head up to be an exhibitor at my show. He claims he can get you a visa as an actor because we have to get working papers to be here. This guy does actor visas. I'd never heard of it before. And she's like, oh, how much is it? I was like, it's £3,000, right?
Oh, God.
And this is 20 years ago. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I was like, and it could be a scam. Who knows? I don't know, like I didn't know about immigration lawyers.
Hmm.
But my friend had just made a commercial for an alcohol brand where she did 1 day's work and she made £30,000.
Oh, wow. Okay.
She was a pretty successful model that was transitioning into acting.
Hmm.
And I said, I don't know about you, but if I just made that money for that commercial, we all made money at different times, but that was a big one
Right.
for her. I said, if I just made that 30 grand, I know you gave your agent 20% or whatever, but I would risk 10% of that on this
Hmm.
if that was me. And she went home and she did that. And I'd say about 3 months later, it's the fastest visa I've ever seen. Now I've been here so long, about 3 months later, she was in LA. She called me up and was like, I got this beautiful apartment. You got to come over and visit. And then she booked a role on ER.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what? That's amazing. Like, you've been there, what, 2 months?
Uh-huh.
And so I flew out to visit. I had her and one other friend here. And I was just like, that's it, I'm doing.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so then you made the move, and then now you're here.
My visa took about a year.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. So you had to wait a year, and then you're able to come.
And it wasn't waiting a year. There was like stuff to be done. But, you know, yeah, as with anything, once something gets popular, we made this lawyer popular.
Right. Yeah.
And so suddenly you give him I'm this person that I share resources, right? If something works for me, I share it. And sometimes to my detriment because I told all my this visa lawyer got my friend a thing. Suddenly he's getting hit up by everyone. You know,
it's kind of good for him though. I mean, more business, right?
Good for him. Good for him. But like, I should have done mine first.
I'll just say, yeah, there you go.
But hey, I'm here, and all three of us moved.
Oh, no way!
Yeah.
Wow, that's so cool. So then,
and she's still here. This girl's still here. She's a big voiceover artist.
Oh, no way!
Yep.
Okay, well, that's really cool. Hey, positive outcome, right? So, anyways, now that you moved out to LA at this point in your life, and I mean, I remember when I moved out here, I was just starstruck. I thought it was the coolest city ever.
You're from Kansas, right?
Yes.
Do you have your red sequin shoes?
I get asked that all the time. I always get called Dorothy. I always get asked like, oh, all that sorts of stuff. Oh yeah, no. I was Dorothy as a kid for Halloween.
Of course you were.
Yeah.
Of course.
But anyways, so you had this moment where you moved out to LA and then started getting into the industry. Was it easy to kind of make your mark here? Oh,
no,
wow.
I think it's a little different now because everything's a bit more international. But when I came, you're starting again.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely starting again. And unless you are James Bond, or the equivalent now is unless you were in Squid Game, no one cares.
How were you able to stay confident and stay driven on the path like acting that so many actors, I feel like, granted, if it's your passion, you're going to go after it. However, there is kind of always that fear of the actor's struggle and things like that. How did you manage that? And was that ever a thing for you?
So, yeah, of course it was. I don't buy into the actor's struggle. I refuse to buy into it. And what I mean by that, and it's not that it's not a struggle. It's like if you choose it, you choose it, right? Everyone has their struggle. And sometimes I feel like actors are a little woe is me. Like, it's so hard for me. It's hard to be a doctor. It's hard to be a nurse. It's hard to be an accountant, right? Everyone has their struggle. The difference is our career is not linear. So yeah, if you're an accountant, you might be a junior accountant, then you make a partner, and then you do these things. There's a sort of linear path to where you're going, right? Acting is not. But look, if a fireperson says, it's so hard I have to run into burning buildings. Yeah, you do. That's the job.
Mm-hmm.
Acting is the struggle. That's the job. So I think I don't think I've ever made this conscious choice, but if that's what you're doing, that I see it as my career, and I did from a young age, like from mid-20s, this is my career. Then it's just your career. It's your career. It's like I don't see it as a thing it's what I wake up and do every day. And some days are hard and some days aren't, right? But before I saw the sort of positive psychology on expressing gratitude, I would always celebrate my wins, right? When people say to me, "Oh, it's so hard, acting so tough, I get rejected," or something like, you don't get rejected. No one's telling you no. You're just not getting the job. No one actually comes and says, "Hey, you know what, Sean? No, we don't want you." That's your perception of not getting the job. So I'll sort of give an analogy of a flower shop. If I'm a florist, I learn how to make beautiful bouquets, right? Yeah. And I open a florist shop and I put my flowers in the window every day. People walk past my window. I don't think, they're all rejecting my flowers. One day, the same guy that walks past every day, it's his wife's birthday, and she likes, pink roses, and he looks in his eye, these pink roses are great, yeah, I'll come in and buy them. He didn't reject it every other day, he just didn't need it that day. but that day it worked for him and it worked for me, and I sell my flowers, right? That to me is like acting. We have to put our flowers out there every day. No one's telling me no every day. It's just some of them hit and some of them don't. But when they hit, we get paid very well, and we get to live a life of amazing privilege. When we show up to set, our lunch is paid for. I know if you work at Facebook or Google, that's the same. Many people don't get that. They have to go to Starbucks and buy their own lunch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we get all of the fringe benefits of that, whether it be the camaraderie with other actors, where we get, sometimes go to nice events, or we get the thing of seeing ourselves on screen. That's really nice and validating. So I just remember the good stuff, because the hard parts, it's like running a business. The hard parts is why you get the big reward.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see, I get very defensive of entrepreneurs, because sometimes people will say, I can't stand these guys or these girls that make millions of dollars. And I'm like, they deserve it.
Right.
Because they spent months and years not making millions of dollars, number one. And they're now making millions of dollars while supporting hundreds, if not thousands of families with
Mm-hmm.
employment.
Right.
And they can't do that without making millions of dollars. If
Uh-huh.
you make $100,000, you can't support anyone but yourself. If you make $10 million, you can support many families
Mm-hmm.
with jobs.
Well, I think that's a really good way to look at it. I also really like the flower metaphor too.
So, by the way, I went all on a tangent there.
No, but I appreciate it though. Yeah. You talked about business. You have your own company, WeAudition. For any of our listeners that don't know what that is, would you like to tell us a little bit about what it is and how you started it?
Yeah, WeAudition, in the most basic sense, is a worldwide database / marketplace of actors around the world that connect with each other through video chat to help each other out on audition.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
awesome. Yeah.
if you have an audition, you need a scene partner, and you can get one at the tap of a button any time of day, anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So if, for the newer actors out there that might have a bar or restaurant job, they get an audition the next day, they can come home and there'll be someone available in New Zealand to help them out.
Mm-hmm. How did you think this up?
So the original idea came from a conversation with a friend of mine who was actually the first ever YouTube star.
Oh, who was it?
Lonely Girl 15.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually know what you're talking about. That's
Yeah.
great.
So the girl that played Lonely Girl, I think she's the first person to get 1 million views on YouTube. So that's why she's considered the first YouTube star.
Mm-hmm.
She was an actor in LA, very good actor, did a bunch of stuff, but also had a job in a restaurant. And because she was a very good actor, she would get a lot of auditions. So she'd often be at the restaurant at like 3 or 4 p.m. starting her shift, and then an audition would come in at 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
for the next day or the day after. And so she'd have to come home from work and learn her lines, and she called me one day and asked if I could help her out on a script. And I was like, I'm on set myself. I had an acting job day on the sitcom Two Broke Girls.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, can I help you tomorrow? She's like, oh no, it's got to be in today. And I said, well, I'm working. She's like, well, can I just Skype you? That was a Skype with a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Good old days, right? And I was like, you know what? No, because like I have a new script to learn myself. Because on sitcom they change your scripts all the time depending on what works. I said, I've just been given three new pages to learn. I actually need some help as well. She ended up doing that audition with her mum in New Zealand via Skype. Her mum's not an actor. And then after she put that tape down, she sent me a little survey. And it had a bunch of questions pertaining to this idea of. So I read these questions and I called her and I said, hey, take this survey offline. She's like, why? I said, because I know what you're thinking. I think it's amazing. And her idea was that we should have a community of readers around the world that can help each other out through video chat.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, that's brilliant. So I met her the next morning for coffee. And she's like, so what am I thinking? I'm like, community of readers around the world through video chat. She's like, oh my God, what? I could see straight through it because it's so necessary. I would have used that yesterday. You would have used that yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I had at the time I had a current company, which was a worldwide database of promotional model that I'd built for the last 8 or 9 years. Brand ambassadors.
Okay.
This is pre-influencer days. Companies, they still do it today, but when you go to an exhibition or a car show, there's a bunch of pretty people handing out free stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So I used to do that. That was one of my jobs in between acting.
Oh, cool.
And so I saw this need for a kind of unified database of these people, because before it was the brands had to know an agency and the agency had to have phone numbers of people that would do this. And it just needed some organization. So I put that industry online,
Mm-hmm.
and that was called Stuck for Staff. And we built that up to many people around the world, and big brands, BMW, Coca-Cola were using us, things like that. So I was like, look, I know how to structure a business like this. So shall we do this? So we went into business together for that. Then we brought in our third co-founder, which is my current partner, Richard Cambridge,
Mm-hmm.
who's a very, very successful actor and an incredible tech guy.
Oh, perfect.
So that was the unit,
Mm-hmm.
And Jess is no longer with the business, but she lives in Australia, leading a wonderful life with her husband and her kids, and still doing a bit of film and acting as well. And now me and Richard, we took the business forward, and we still run it today.
That's awesome. What has been one of the coolest experiences you've had because of your bringing up of WeAudition?
The coolest experiences through Audition?
I remember you told me before the interview that you just had a really awesome dinner before this that had to do with
Yeah.
the Oscars. In your journey of bringing up WeAudition, marketing it, and then
Yeah.
creating a great success out of it, what was one of the coolest situations you found yourself in because of your position at this company?
Can I be honest with you? It happens on a weekly basis.
That's even
Yeah.
better.
I mean,
Wow.
so just this year we started out. I got to go to Sundance Film Festival. It's the first time I had a film there myself. I've been to Sundance many times, but I had a film in the festival this year. And we do film festival trips with WeAudition. So now we're more established and we're making a decent income. We can give back to the community by supporting people, right, in a way that I wouldn't have ever been able to do before. So me and my business partner, we've been to many, many film festivals for many years, and we love them. We think they're not only a good time, great for business, but we also think they're essential in an actor or filmmaker's career, because that's your people, that's your trade show. And it's a very sort of supportive, inspiring environment. Most actors don't go to film festivals until they're in a film there. And, I think that's entirely the actor ego. They don't want to go until it's about them.
Right.
Whereas I've been going for years because it's about my industry, it's about my support, it's about me learning. I can support other people, I can build good relationships. And, I strongly believe that I have films in film festivals now because I've been going so many times. And when I do, I understand the landscape to take advantage of the situation. Whereas if you go to a film festival for the first time when your film is in it, to me, that's as crazy as saying the first time I'm going to get in a car is the day of my driving test.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you ruin that shot with naivety, right? And so what we do now is, because we know the film festival so well, we know where to stay, we know how to navigate them. We get a huge house and publicists and photographers and talent cars, and we take traditionally underrepresented talent, so Black, Latin, AAPI talent, to the festival, and we elevate.
That is really
And
cool.
And we always bring a casting director as well, because one of the other things we're very passionate about is reducing that divide, because it's always felt like a them and us for actors, but we all work together. Casting needs to know actors and actors need to know casting, right?
Wow.
So we can work as a team to make a better product, right?
Mm-hmm.
Better film, better TV show. And so we bring these talent, we elevate them, we pick like 10 people, we take them to all the big festivals, so Cannes, Sundance, Toronto, Comic-Con. Then we run an event, a free event for everybody about the future of casting. So we put on drinks and food and have a panel. And, so we've got to do that in Cannes Film Festival, in Sundance, Toronto, all these major places. And I have a great time doing it. And I genuinely, and I mean it, I genuinely love seeing the impact it has on the individual talent and seeing them rise and seeing the things that happen. And there's not a single person that we take on these things that doesn't come back with that, oh my God, you'll never guess what happened. And I'm like, I probably will, but go on.
Really? That is so
They
cool.
all have a story about something. One of our talent, Jimmy Akinbola, he plays Jeffrey on Bel Air right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's big posters of him all around the city right now.
Uh-huh.
He came to Cannes this year, and I said to him, you're going to have a moment where you go, oh my gosh, that was worth it from that one moment.
Mm-hmm.
And he called me a couple of days afterwards, and he said, I just had the moment. And I thought, what was it? So Jimmy's a Nigerian British actor that was brought up by a white family. He's fostered.
Oh, wow.
And now he's in a position of kind of celebrity. He made a documentary about that because he wants to change the narrative about foster parents, because he had very, very good foster parents, grew up in a very great environment, and he credits his foster parents for some of his success, right?
Hmm.
And he knows many other celebrities in that zone that have had similar situations. Black children that were brought up by white parents. And he made a documentary about it.
That's really cool. Wow.
And that document, he met someone at Cannes, a producer that has the same upbringing. He told about the documentary, and this guy was like, I want to put a screening on for you. He's like, how can I help you? He's like, I'm looking for a screening venue in London. He's like, I'm going to put it on a BAFTA for you, and I'm going to pay for it for you.
Oh, wow. That is insane.
And so if you don't know BAFTA's like our version of the Oscars.
Yes.
Right. So it's the most prestigious place to put on a film. And this guy sorted it out.
Oh my
It
God.
gives me chills. And that's the moment that you can't, if someone says, oh, what am I going to get from a film festival? I'm like, I don't know.
You never know. Yeah.
But something like that will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably so heartwarming for you to hear that. I mean, your company had a bit of a hand in making that connection. That's got to be amazing. Wow.
It's amazing for me. And the thing is it's magical because you can't quantify that.
Mhm.
Like I've had actors say to me, well, if I go to a festival, what's going to happen for me? I'm like, I don't know. What do you want to happen?
Right.
And then I have some people go, well, I went and nothing happened. And I'm like, you've been back a week. What did you expect to happen?
Mm-hmm. So it's about putting yourself out there then.
Yeah. It's just about, it's a long game. Everything is a long game.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want instant results, then, it's the same as, do you want to make a cup of instant coffee or do you want to have a pour over, right? They take different processes and the result is different.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you are in it for the long term as a career, you got to trust that making the right steps going forward will happen. And, I've had those moments. I produced and directed a film in like 2014. And the guy that edited my trailer for that film, I met at Cannes Film Festival in 2004.
Oh, okay.
In that time, between I met him and he edited my trailer, he edited the trailer for every major movie, for Batman, for X-Men, for everything. And then he edited my short film trailer.
No way. That is so cool.
There's no way that guy edits short film trailers anymore. That's the result of a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Wow.
So I was able to leverage that long 10-year relationship and call in that favor,
Mm-hmm.
and that's, but if someone asked me the year after, oh, what happened from Canada? I don't know. Like nothing yet.
Right. Yeah.
But
Wow.
I'm not fussed about that. I go in for the present moment.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's really cool that you're very open to doing things like that, putting yourself out there. And I know one of the things that you have on your story is that you do a lot of travel blogging. And how did you get into that? And also, what is one of your, I guess, coolest experiences from it? Because, I mean, travel interests me so much.
Yeah.
And I think it's
gosh.
awesome that you're able to make a career out of it.
So I have a lot of cool experiences from that as well.
Oh, I
But
bet.
how it started was the actor hustle, the actor struggle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whilst I was acting when I was at college and university, I did promotion work, as I told you, like handing free stuff out at exhibitions and on the street and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
And so that world is basically temporary short-term staff that are personable and well-groomed, basically, right? There's not much requirement for that job in that you've got to be reasonably attractive and well-groomed and be able to interact with people.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the people that was one of my managers there, she also did some other kind of temporary, like contracty stuff, which I had no idea about. But one day she called me and she said, hey, you live in Edmonton, right? Which is my hometown. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, yeah. She's like, can you help me out in this thing? I have this job that I'm trying to do and I can't do it. And I'm just looking for someone and you live right down the street. I said, okay, what is it? She said, there's a pub at the end of your street. I said, oh, I know that one, yeah. She's
Mhm.
like, so can you go there with a friend and can you like buy dinner and a beer and then just report back to me on how the experience was?
Mm-hmm.
Why? She's like, oh, we work for the chain of, we work for the overall chain of pubs and we do this for their management. It's called mystery shopping. I'm like, mystery shopping? What is that? She's like, we send like, you go in like a customer. So you can't tell anyone what you're doing. Just go in, take a friend, have a drink, have dinner, come out and fill out this report.
Mm-hmm.
And she sent me the form and it was like, oh, is the food hot? Was the toilets clean? Was the service nice? Was there anything broken? That kind of thing. It's
Right.
like quality control. I'd never heard of this thing before. And then she goes, and then we pay you back what you spend. And then we pay you to do it as well. And I was like, wait, you pay me to go to the pub I normally go to eat free food and drink. So yeah, so I'm in.
I'm done.
I called up
Sounds
my friend. I was
like
like, let's do this. And then so after I did it, I was like, this is phenomenal. I called. I said, can I do any more of these? She said, there's no more in your area. And I said, well, what about Central London? Because I'm there every day for auditions and for my other job.
Mhm.
Oh, we have loads in Central London. She goes, there's a pizza chain. There's this place called Nando's chicken place.
Love Nando's. Yeah.
Cheeky Nando's,
Yes.
right? There's things on the menu in Nando's that I directly influence. Like, let me tell you.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
And then Pizza Express, I did it for Slug and Lettuce, All Bar One,
Oh my gosh, that was crazy.
Cafe Nero, all those places you went. And so in between auditions, I would meet up with my friends from the modeling and acting agencies, and we'd go out for free lunches and dinners.
Mhm.
And then I'd sit on my laptop afterwards and write the form and send it in.
Wow. Okay. So how did that translate into going to different countries and things like that?
Well, that was restaurants. And so restaurants naturally is food and beverage industry, which is naturally also hotels. So they had a couple of hotel chains. So occasionally I would have to go and stay overnight in a hotel, do these weekend trips. And so that became a regular thing I did for quite a few years as a part-time job. That was just awesome. Like and I went to fine dining places when I was like 19 years old. It was great.
That is insane.
Where they're like, oh, you must try the champagne cocktail. I was like, oh, must I? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Twist my arm.
And I always got to take somebody. So it's like going out, you going out with friends or going out on a date is great. And so how that translated into a friend of mine from the promotional world, she moved to Dubai and she started working on a magazine for airline staff. So they have a kind of their own magazine for the pilots and the cabin crew and stuff. And she needed people to write articles for her. She's like, hey, you do a lot of those restaurant things. You remember what I came to you with? And I was like, yeah. She goes, can you write restaurant reviews for us? Yeah, sure. So I started writing a restaurant column. And then when I moved to LA, she's like, oh, can you do a Hollywood column? And I said, well, I don't want to do like gossip, but I'll do like a column about my life in Hollywood and all the events I'm going to and stuff. And sometimes I would go on weekend trips and I'd write about that and I'd write about travel. And then I started writing for the BBC. They have like a BBC America kind of, it's called Mind the Gap.
Right.
So it's like a, Brits in America kind of column. And then from that, I started writing for Destination Luxury, which is a luxury travel magazine. And by that point, there's companies or hotels reaching out to you being like, please come and stay. We want you to write a review. So I'd always write a review and then take pictures and do videos.
Wow.
And it's just fun. And I've been to some of the like most incredible places around the world, like Bali and at one point I was sponsored by Turkish Airlines. So they would fly me to different places around the world. And then this is, again, so this is a nice little story about how it translated to a TV show about this. I was sitting in my local coffee shop and a producer guy I know came by and I was like, how are you doing? What are you doing? He's like, I'm working on this TV show. Yeah, it's about drones and we're going to do this travel stuff and go around the world shooting stuff when drones were pretty new, shooting stuff with drone technology. It's like, yeah, I'm looking for a host. He's like, actually, bro, you'd be great for this. Do you want to audition for me? And I was like, yeah, yes, I would. And so I went in and put an audition and they hired me and two other people to be the hosts. And we went around the world shooting amazing stuff on drones.
Oh my
I got to work with Chris Angel in Vegas and
You did?
We put drones in his magic show and then we hung out. Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so it was like a drone show / travel show. So it's like, let's help Chris Angel put drones into his magic show. And then let's go and party in Vegas and try the restaurants and try the bars and try the...
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Wow. So you have had just like a very wide range of experiences with acting and your business and then also with travel blogging. So I have one final question for you and it relates to passion. So what kind of advice would you give to someone who is in my shoes, trying to figure out what to do with their lives and is trying to figure out how to cross their pursuit of their passion but also with pursuit of financial security?
Okay, so don't worry about too much. Don't worry about having the thing. I would say do what makes you happy. Because you know what? If you're not happy doing what you're doing, if you're not feeling fulfilled, then you won't do it very well. So that's the first and foremost. And it doesn't have to be one thing, especially not these days. You can pursue multiple things. But keep in mind that old Confucius saying that he who chases two rabbits catches neither, right? I don't think you've got to go full force on one thing, But when you go for something, you've got to go fully for it. That can be 3 things, but make sure you go fully for the things that you're going for. And then be okay with mixing it up and having some of the things we've talked about. They were sideline things that then became a thing that fed into something else. Why did I do a TV show on Discovery Channel? Because at one point I said, yes, I'll go to the pub and drink a free drink. That directly relates to that if you go back. So sometimes just go with what inspires you at the time and just trust that will lead you to something in the future. And it might not be an immediate reward, right? That's what I really feel like is just, and then the bit about finances, you got to keep an eye on that, right? And I think that's a mix of, it's a seesaw of being frugal at the right times and giving caution to the wind at the right times. You've got to take risks, right? But also I see people that are living within their means constantly and they can never push themselves over the edge. Right. If you can live with some frugality when you have to, then when that, so, someone like, let's say I asked somebody to come to one of the film festival trips with us. We pay for everything except their flight.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I can't really afford the flight rent. Well, look at that. I mean, for the sake of a flight, you wasted all that stuff. Whereas more frugality up to that point, she would have been able to take advantage of opportunity and this would have happened.
Right.
So I think it's important to not stretch yourself. And if you're going to do lots of things, understand the ebb and flow. And when people, a big criticism of the actor life or the artist life or whatever is, it's not consistent. And our parents will say this to us. And our parents will force their old world view on it. But it's not consistent. It's not safe. Neither is employment. My dad used to say that. And then him and my sister got made redundant within the same week. My dad worked at the same company in 26 years.
Oh, wow.
And he would say, but your thing's not stable. I was like, I hate to say I told you so, but neither is yours. Right. And so if you can see the consistency over a period of time, my income is consistent over a period of 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Week
to week, definitely not. My business is not. Nothing is. But over a period of a few years, it is. And so that's how you should do your planning, is long term.